Okay, so now that we have an understanding of the Thesis Classic Responsive media queries, it's time for us to actually do something with that. And what we're going to do is create some responsive columns in our skin here using those media queries and using the responsive code that is already included in Thesis Classic Responsive. And what we're going to do is we're going to make two columns here in the header, where the left-hand column will be an image about this size, a header image here, and then the right-hand column is going to be the tagline and then the menu. And so we start that whole process really by removing this header image. So we'll come back over here to Thesis Home and go down to the header image and remove the header image. And then come back over to the skin editor, and we're going to create our columns here. So we'll just start off by adding a box, and we're going to add an HTML container, and we're going to call it header left. And create another HTML container, and we'll call it header right. Okay, and then we're going to use a text box to add that header image. So we'll come down and create ourselves a text box, and we'll call it header image. We don't need any sort of a HTML wrapper around it, so we'll just say that to it. And then we'll go ahead and shift drag header image into header left, and then shift drag header right into header and header left into header. And open up header. And then we're going to just drag the title all the way out. But we're going to drag the nav menu into header right and the site tagline into header right. So we'll have the tagline and the menu in the right-hand column, and we'll have the header image in the left-hand column. Okay? And if we save this template, come back over and look at our home template, this is what we have so far. Now, the header image that, well, let's go ahead and add the header image in here first. So we'll come back over to, well, let's see, let's go over to our dashboard and come over to our sandbox page. And I actually have the image sitting in the sandbox right here. It's this image. It's all ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab that link with that image. You can see the image is 293 by 238, right? So it's quite a bit different size than our last one. We'll copy it and then come back over to Thesis here and to content, because that's where we'll enter the information into the box. Open up the header image, drop our code in there, disable automatic p tags, and save our options. And now we should have a starting place. Oh, right, of course. Now what we need to do is split this up into actual columns. And the way we're going to do that, we've created the boxes obviously, but we haven't told the boxes what to do. Now, Thesis already has this little columns thing set up, right? They've got a columns wrapper with a class of columns, and they've got the content column with the class of content, and the sidebar column with the class of sidebar. And we are going to borrow those. So we'll take the columns class and add that to the header. It's going to add the class, not replace it. So add it to the header. And then header left will have the class of content. And header right will have the class of sidebar. And so now we should have the classes set up. We do, except of course that we have the header image is the wide column and this is the narrow column, so we need to get in and change that. And what we're going to do is essentially for the header we are going to reverse the sizes of these columns. So let's do that first. We'll come back over to our, let's come back over to our custom CSS. And we are going to create a new columns, well, we're going to create a new definition for those columns. And I guess we'll just do it right here. Yeah. So we'll say # header columns, dot columns, and dot content. And then we'll insert the width of that content column. We're going to actually insert the sidebar width. Let's see, where is that? The W sidebar. So we'll say width colon, and then we'll add sidebar width instead of the content width. And then we're going to do the same thing for the header dot columns dot sidebar. And we'll use the content width. So essentially, we're using the same configuration, but we're reversing the widths in the context of the header. So we'll save our custom CSS. We'll come back over here and refresh it. And it should start looking a little bit more like it should. Now, unfortunately, we have padding that is making it so we don't have enough room. Padding in the header. So let's just get rid of that header. So we'll say border none, padding 0. That should now get our columns so that they actually sit side by side. There we go. Our columns are now sitting side by side, although oh, my designation was incorrect. Right, it should be # header dot columns. So I need to go back to my CSS here, and it's not, these are connected, right? This class is the same, the class and the ID are referencing the same container, so the space there is the problem. So we'll save our custom CSS, come back over and refresh it. Now we should have our widths working correctly. There we go, we are. Now we want to get rid of this background. We want to get rid of the background image in the header, just like we did with the feature box on Wednesday. So we're just going to come up here, feature box columns, and we'll say header columns. So background image none for feature box columns and header columns. Save that. Refresh it. There we go. And I think the other thing I want to do here quickly is I think we're going to change the tagline font size and alignment here. Yeah, so we'll come on back over here to the class. Well, actually, we can do some of that in design. And we'll go ahead and take we're going to edit the site tagline. And its font size is going to be, let's say, 32 pixels. That's really the only thing we have to do there. And then back in custom CSS, we will, let's see, I guess we'll just say site tagline. And site tagline and text align center. And I think actually I'm going to give it a little bottom padding. So padding bottom colon, and at the moment let's just call it 20 pixels. We'll see what that looks like as we work our way through this. So go ahead and save that, refresh it. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then if we take a look at this in the Responsinator, oh, whoops, we have to go to the home page because I haven't done this elsewhere. We'll take a look at it in the home page. I mean the news page. Actually, let's go ahead and change this whole thing. Let's go ahead and go into this editor and let's just make sure we make this change to all of our templates. So that was the home template. We'll come over to single. And we will add the header left box, add the header right box, add the header image box, shift drag header image into header left, header right into header, header left into, whoops, header left into header. Then site title out of header, site or nav menu into the right, tagline into the right. So we've got our tagline, then our nav menu, and save our template. And then we can come take a look at our single template. And it's been changed now. Let's go to our page template, which has not been changed yet. So go to the page template and just repeat that. So header left, header right, header image, shift drag header image into header left, shift drag header right into header, header left into header, site title out, nav menu into header right, site tagline into header right. Save the page template. Let's take a look at it. Okay, it's working in the page template. Now let's just go to our front page template. And again, header left, header right, header image, shift drag image into left, shift drag right into header, left into header, site title out, nav menu into right, site tagline into right, save it, look at it. You can see we've got a little border thing here now, and this border is caused by the post box class that we gave to this widget area in the feature box. So we're going to have to get rid of that, but we'll do that here in just a moment after we change our archive page. So we've got our archive page, and we'll do header left, header right, header image, shift right into header, shift left into header, shift title out, nav menu into right, tagline into right, save the template. Okay, let's go back over to our custom CSS, and then under post box, which we'll put right down here. So we'll say, actually that's the feature box post box, isn't it? Yeah. So we'll say it here. # feature box dot post box and border none. Okay. Save that CSS. Refresh it. There we go. We got rid of that border. And then if we take a look at this in the Responsinator, it's not quite right. Something's not right about that. Oh, because we have to add these classes to the content, the header column's content and the header column sidebar need to be added to our media queries. That's what it is. So if we come back over to this and we'll go ahead and copy that. Well, actually, I think we need to add a media query because we've got our negative media query here, but now we're going to need to add our positive media query. So if we pick up, we can get that positive media query from our cheat sheet. And the positive media query that we're going to use is the largest one, because that's where Chris changes his column sizes. So we'll copy that, and we'll come back over here to the large media query, and then we're going to come back up to these two rules, header columns content, header columns sidebar, and paste those rules. But now we're going to say width is 100%. Okay, save the custom CSS. Take a look at it in the Responsinator now. Okay, and so now we have it looking pretty good in the phones. But we have a little funkiness here, right? Because this is wider, so we still have a float going on. So we also need to clear the float, and in this case, not clear it, but that's interesting. Oh, yeah. Let's fix the tab on this. There we go. Now it's working right. Float none. And then we'll add clear both to this just to make sure it actually works. This should make those things stack on top of each other. Let's check it and see if it had any effect on the desktop, which it didn't. So now let's come back over and refresh the Responsive view. We can scroll down here, and it looks fine in this device. Okay, it's looking good there. Perfect. Okay, and this is exactly the way Chris has handled it as well, right? Where the columns just automatically start stacking as soon as you get to the mobile view.